was a kid growing up, there was a huge cultural change going on in the United States as it pertained to cars. As it pertained to a lot of things, actually, but more substantially as it pertained to cars, because there was this really obvious shift that was going on from big domestic vehicles, which had been all the rage for decades, to these tiny little import vehicles, which sprung up all at once in the mid-70s and had captured the imagination of a certain half of society, almost like a blue state, red state thing. You had people who were suddenly small import car buyers versus large domestic car buyers. The people who were buying large domestic cars looked at people buying small import cars like they were a bunch of hippies living in this Pollyanna, wouldn't it be nice world. But the truth of it is, they felt like if you got an accident in that thing, you'd be annihilated, even if you got hit by a bicycle or something tiny. And there was some legitimate truth to that. Some of those early cars, although despite their best intentions, getting struck by a 4,500-pound big vehicle obviously was to the detriment of the small car buyer. However, those small car buyers looked at those big domestic car buyers like they were a bunch of Neanderthals living this kind of anachronistic, antiquated way that was out of date by 20 years and more, and that the future was small. And so, yes, small cars became all the rage. Companies like Honda and Toyota became some of the most important companies in the entire history of the automobile business. Well, times change, and big sport utilities have become all the rage since approximately 1995, 1996, as everybody started moving back into Tahoes and Suburbans and that sort of thing. And that has really stood the test of time. Even to this day, big Escalades and such are still thought of as very stately and status-oriented vehicles. But there's a big thing that happened in the 1970s that caused this shift, and that was the price of gasoline. Gas became prohibitively expensive and hard to get. There were even times where there were lines outside of gas stations, where there were alternating days that you could even get gas. Today's problem's a little bit different. It has to do with urban density and the fact that simply finding parking to get to your job can be such a hassle, so that a lot of people are forced to pay for parking. Not only could be far from work, but it could be really expensive. And so what a lot of folks are coveting is something small, efficient, that they can commute in, that's still comfortable and nice, gets excellent gas mileage, and has a small footprint so it's easy to park. The CT200H from Lexus really fits the bill. It's in many ways similar to the Toyota Prius, but it's a lot more luxurious than the Prius is and has a totally different driving personality. Let's pop the hood and start there. How it works, if you never experienced a hybrid, it's two engines, right? It's a battery and a conventional engine. The two of these put together are giving you a constant 134 horsepower if you're putting the pedal to the metal. So that's not a ton of horsepower. You'll read that this car goes 0 to 60 in 10.9 seconds. We've tested it again and again, and that seems to be pretty accurate. And so 10.9 seconds isn't all that fast. In fact, it's pretty slow by all-out acceleration standards. However, most people in their common acceleration accelerate from 0 to 60 in about 13 seconds. So it'll do what you want it to do. In fact, it'll go faster than you typically would accelerate from 0 to 60. It's just the beauty of this motor is that even with an automatic transmission, it still gets 42 miles per gallon combined driving. And 42 miles per gallon is nothing to sneeze at. It's actually fantastic gas mileage for a car of this size. Now, taking a look at that size, it's obviously not a huge car, but I feel really comfortable inside. I'm 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, and it feels nice. It has this new Lux interior, which is their version of man-made leather, but it's soft, it's cool to the touch, it's nice. I mean, if somebody told you this was leather, you would just think, yeah, it's leather. The nice thing about the new Lux interior, and you're seeing like kind of everybody going to this, it's always been all the rage with European car companies, you're starting to see it now for the first time with Japanese companies, is it kind of lasts forever. I mean, it really does. Leather also is quite nice and lasts for a great many years, but this new generation, this new Lux type of interior really does stand the test of time. And it's easy to wipe, it's easy to clean, doesn't get dry lines or cracks, doesn't show its age like traditional leather does. It has a real leather steering wheel, however, and hand-stitched, it's all quite nice. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it feels good in your hands. Has a great layout here as far as the factory stereo system, your HVAC, your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, all your audio adjustments, Bluetooth, that sort of thing right on the steering wheel. It's nice. It's normal. The nice two-tone stitching on the dashboard looks elegant. This car feels elegant. Well, at least it does in the front. Let's see how it feels in the back. Now, on a small car, when they give you generous room in the front, you already know you're going to be compromised in the back. But the truth of it is, it's actually pretty nice. Again, it's 6 feet tall, and I have the front seat pretty far all the way back, and I've got room to stretch my knees out before I even bump into the chair in front of me. And so I feel great. You sit taller in the back seat as well than you do in the front. It has that theater type of seating, and so you have great sight lines, almost like you're sitting in the front. So for 4 adults, if you were going to go on a road trip for a couple hundred miles, small car, still actually a really nice car for even a group of 4 adults. So something's got to give, because if you have lots of room in the front and lots of room in the back, then there can't be lots of room for your storage. That's just the real world. However, although the trunk space isn't giant on this car, it's more than adequate for what 99% of people are going to use it for. It also has a split folding rear seat. They call it a 60-40 split folding rear seat, and what that means is in a pinch, I could stick 2 people on this side and fold down just the small side if I really needed to. Or I could put 1 person in the back and fold the more generously sized half of the cargo area down and have a lot more space, or just fold them both down, what the heck. If I have dogs or something like that, or if I'm really loading up with a lot of gear, you have actually all the room in the world. Taking a look at the lines on it, well, they're great looking, very modern, very stylish. It doesn't look anything like a Prius, and of course, they intended it to be that way. They want it to look nice. They want it to look like something you go out to a fancy dinner and feel good about. And you can certainly feel good about taking this out for a night on the town. Let's jump inside. Now, this is the standard way that you're going to see all CTs. Moonroof, the great interior, 17-inch alloy wheels, nice CD setup. This is exactly how they come. Now, as I turn the car on, you're noticing you don't hear anything because it's essentially just running on the batteries. Then, very subtly, the engine kicks in because it doesn't want to drain those batteries and it wants to keep going with a conventional gas motor. But it's trying to save you gas everywhere that it possibly can. Makes for kind of a, I wouldn't say unnerving, but certainly a different kind of adjustment that you need to get to when you're driving. Because sometimes you want to give it a lot of gas all at once, and the car's in electric mode, and you kind of have to trust that when you floor it, something's going to happen, and so that does take some getting used to. However, it responds just like any other car would respond. It could be in battery mode, and you floor it, and it accelerates right from there with no hesitation of any kind. It's different, but maybe that's part of the allure of it. One thing that's different is that 42 miles per gallon. If you have any questions about this car, CT200s are a car we have all the time here at Honda of Seattle and Toyota of Seattle. It's just a popular trade-in and a car that we come across all of the time. If you have any questions about this car or anything that we have here at Toyota of Seattle or Honda of Seattle, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. My name's Joe Tunney. I'm the pre-owned director at Honda of Seattle and Toyota of Seattle, and you can reach me anytime at joet@hondaofseattle.com.